This is going to be going over the best and fastest team for clearing Rift at RC21. This team clears in about a minute and 29 seconds for me, so very consistent. I never kill at any time besides this. You can go faster if you have to gear for it. I'll have the setup for it, though I can't gear it on this account. I'll just go over the general concept. And then if you need just a little bit more damage, kill at the same turn I do, which is you kill on the boss's S3. There's a little speed tuning thing you can do to make sure that you get a little bit more damage, costs you a couple of seconds. And then of course, if your damage is just really bad, I'll go over what not to do, because the setup that I'm using only really works if you're killing at that turn. You're going to want to change the speed tunings a bit if you're going past the boss's second S3. So we've got Charlotte and Robin here. Charlotte, I wouldn't really say is worth rolling for, but if you already have her, you can use her. She's really cheap to invest in. You just need to mull her S1. We're not using her S3 because the skill animation is too long. And even then, I don't think you necessarily need to mull her S1. I'd rather do the strat that increases your clear time by a couple of seconds than mull a Charlotte S1, to be honest. But if you really want the fast runs, then you can use Charlotte. And then we have Robin. So for Robin, she's still super OP, but since we're in a duo, we can't get the device that makes her never use S1. So we will be using S1, which does mean 15% chance to not have a bleed proc, because we are not mulling her S1. You want to make sure that you have enough damage, even in the worst case scenario, where you whiff all of your bleeds. And also, actually, depending on your setup, it might be bad for you to land a bleed. So you want to make sure that you don't have a situation where you're actually missing the bleed that increases your damage if you miss it. I'll go over that later. Just make sure you have enough damage to kill no matter what the situation is. For the dimensional forms, it's just Ranger Device, extends debuffs when using S2, makes all of her skills ignore 15% if we have enough effectiveness. We'll be using the Knight AoE device on the second row because we already have Vampirism in the third row, so this is useless. Greater attack buff and Vampirism to Robin and Charlotte when it's just the two of them. And then for the fourth row, when it's just the two of them, we instantly max out Shackle, and when Charlotte uses her S1, extends burn effects by one turn. We don't care about the counter force decrease. So let's take a look at their stats, and I'll talk about the setups that I'm doing and what would change if you're changing the setups. The first up is Robin, but let's take a look at her skill ups. It's 0, 4, 3, 100% chance to burn, and then just -1 turn. We don't care about the death break. Oops. Let's take a look at her gear, which this speed is, you could be a little bit slower, but this speed is so that Robin cuts the boss before it uses its second S3, and we get our S2 off, extend all the debuffs, apply more burns, and that damage from the S2 is what allows my Robin to kill the boss so early. If you have the gear for it, you don't need Robin to do that second S2, so you could slow her down to like 160 something, and you would replace that Robin S2 with a Charlotte S1. So you don't actually save the entire Robin S2 animation, it's because Charlotte S1 also takes a decent bit of time. But you would still save a couple of seconds if you have the gear for it. I don't on this account, maybe on my main. And then there's one more thing, which is, so this is the speed for Robin to cut the boss and use S2. If you need that extra bit of damage, you can actually speed up Charlotte a little bit, which I'll talk about once I get to her. But you can speed up Charlotte a bit so that she also cuts the boss. So on the final turns, it goes Robin S2, Charlotte S1, then boss is going to try and use S3 but detonate and kill himself. This speed works for that. You could slow Robin down a little bit if you're not having Charlotte cut in that final turn. Besides that, 120 effectiveness, so Robin never gets resisted. Rest of the stats into attack, we don't care about bulk. We have greater attack buff, even without crits, we'll be healing up fine. For artifact, we have Frantic Flight. Dux Noctis is better, but not everyone's going to have it. This artifact is technically limited now as well, but if you have Dux Noctis, use it, even plus 15. Otherwise, Frantic Flight is your backup. Besides that, I think her personal artifact's actually not bad here, because on the, at least in the first, like before the boss's first S3, we don't even use a second S2, so we're never going to have a fourth burn. This could be our fourth burn. And then on the second S3, long run, if you proc this burn early, it would still be good damage. So it's going to go Dux Noctis, Frantic Flight, then her personal, I think, and then just like War Horn or Renewed Will or something if you're desperate. Now, let's look at Charlotte. For Charlotte, this speed here is fast enough to make sure that you get a turn in every single turn, except when Robin takes that extra turn. That 10% CR push that the boss gets additionally makes it cut Charlotte, and Charlotte does not get her final turn after Robin uses her S2, which is good because we didn't need the damage anyways, so it's a time save. Of course, if you need that final Charlotte S1, then make her a little bit faster. The minimum speed, from what I've tested, was 141. If you are having Robin, like, yeah, it's 141. Just try to not be below 141. And then, for the attack and crit damage, she doesn't need any crit chance. I just don't have good gear on this account. Max out her attack and crit damage. Bulk doesn't matter. EE does not matter. For her artifact, any damage boosting artifact works fine here. One thing to note for Charlotte, even though she's doing like less than 20% of our damage, you can still like min-max her damage a bit. Damage boost is actually in full effect this rift, so this is just straight up a 12% damage boost. Of course, once you start adding more, like Torrent Set and Rage, those all stack additively, but Rage and Torrent Set should be pretty good for Charlotte this rift if you want to min-max it. And that's it for their stats, and now we can take a look at the run. Right by some leaves.
조용히 살고 싶었는데요. 간다. 한 번에 끝내주지. 착하게 살지 그랬어. 내가 할 말은 없나? 어쭈.
So that is it for my clear. You can see at the very end, Charlotte just barely didn't get her turn. If you need a damage, just speed her up a little bit and she'll get her turn. Very consistent setup. Now I'll go over the other two versions, just the one where you swap Robin and Charlotte if you don't need the extra extend from Robin S2, which I can't gear on this account like I said. And we'll also go over the speeds for if you need Charlotte to take that final turn. This is the Robin I'll be using for the one that speeds up the run slightly. I dropped her down to 164 speed. Just make sure you're still faster than Charlotte, like you don't get speed RNG'd or something. My Charlotte is 153, so 164 works fine. And now let's skip to the end of the run. We're coming up on the last few turns here, so we'll just start from here. Robin's in S1. I mean, this is just the autoplay, I'm just clicking on it for now. Notably, Robin is not going to be fast enough to cut ahead of Charlotte. You can see here, we S1, and we're not fast enough. Since the boss does not get the extra 10% CR push, Charlotte does get to take her turn. We do this final S1, and we don't manage to kill. If I had better gear, it would kill. I don't know why there's also that lag there that happens, but that lag surely would go away on an actual kill. I expect about a 2-second time save if you can pull this off. So this is going to be for the strat where if you're missing just a little bit of damage at the end and you want to hit the same kill point, you just want to make your Charlotte a little bit faster. 155 is enough. I'm not sure if this or 154 is the minimum, but just do 155. And this lets you cut in after Robin does her additional S2. You'll still be able to get a turn before the boss and extend all the debuffs. It'll cost you a couple of seconds, but it adds like 300 to 400k damage or so. So pretty good. And I'm back on the fast Robin, of course, just so that we actually are able to cut the boss in time. But just make your Charlotte at least 155 speed and she will cut the boss. Conversely, if you don't want to cut the boss, make her 153 or slower. We are coming up on the final turns, so we're just gonna Robin S1, Charlotte S1, and Robin's already looped all the way around at this point. We can get this S2 off. But even with this extra 10% CR push, Charlotte is still good to go. We do still get our turn. And like I showed in the previous section, one for the super fast clear if you watched that, that Charlotte was really close to getting her turn anyways. So, like, she was at 91% with Robin skipping her additional turn, so she was already really close to being able to get her turn at that speed. Just 2 more speed. Let's get our turn, and you would be able to S1 here for an extra extension, increase your damage by a little bit, and get the kill. So this is for if you are just missing a bit of damage. I would say probably roughly like 300, 400k damage in that range. If that is what's holding you back from killing at that point, then this is the strat to use. So now one last thing, for the people who don't have the gear to kill the boss at my kill point, the boss's second S3, I would slow down your Robin, make her like 160 speed or something, because you don't want Robin to do that extra S2 right before the boss does S3 unless it's going to die on that turn. Because if you S2, the boss detonates and it's not dead, your next turn is S3, you are extending literally nothing. And then Charlotte is extending nothing, your 2 turns after that are S1 bleeds, and then you finally S2 on your 4th turn after the boss uses S3. That kind of tuning is really slow. So just if you can't kill the boss within 2 of the boss's S3s, then just make it so that Robin takes 1 turn every time the boss takes 1 turn. Simple. That is it for the Rift speedrun. We got it down pretty fast. It's under 1:30, just barely. Hopefully my main can actually gear that very slightly faster version. I do have better Charlotte gear too, and she is SSS imprint, so I would have slightly higher damage compared to this account. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, hopefully this helped anybody who was looking for faster clears, and I will see you guys next time.